This is your girl, Enchantress, the Good Samaritan, out here on these YouTube streets, coming today because I have a whole lot to say. How are you doing? I hope that your day is progressing fairly enjoyably and very, very well. I say fair because fair is something that can be attractive yet modest, sweet yet sour. You know what I'm saying. Well, anyway, I wanted to tell you a little story. When I was a child, I would always be in the neighborhood with my animal as well as strays. And that was just part of my energy and makeup. So when I was about 9 years old, my parents went to visit a friend. They had just bought a house, and so they were celebrating, and it was midday-ish, I would assume. And this was back in the 70s. So we went to the house, and they had a huge backyard. And so I was getting a little restless. I wanted to be outside. That's what children did back in those days. We played in mud. We played hopscotch. We went on adventures, hunting for berries, just various things. So we were in the house, and I asked, could I go outside? And my parents said yes. And so the owner of the house said, sure, you can go outside and play. And the yard was huge. I remember it must have been fall, maybe late summer, because I remember the grass not being like green. There were no trees, and there was a chain link fence that was around the perimeter, and it connected to a neighbor's yard. And so when I was out there playing, I noticed that there was a dog that was in the neighbor's yard, and the dog was focused in on me. And I remember it had a dark coat, but I believe it had spots in its coloring. And it was a huge dog. I had never seen a dog this big before. The dog stood just as tall as I was. And I was very curious. So I walked over, and it felt as if the dog was so focused on me. But I could feel his communication, and it wasn't audibly. It was as if he was wanting me to pet him. So I went over and started petting him through the fence because I wasn't tall enough to reach over. It was a chain link fence, and I could squeeze my hand in. And I was just petting him. I remember, talking to him like I've talked to previous animals. And then all of a sudden, I heard my neighbors, the person that lived in the house that we were visiting, my mom's friend, my dad's friend, was screaming and telling me to come here. And I couldn't get my hand out quick enough before they got to me. And he stopped before he got to me, and he was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. I couldn't understand what was going on. And so they asked me to get my hand out the fence, and the dog just stood there looking confused. And I took my hand out, and I walked over, and my mom grabbed me, and he was like, how did you do that? And I didn't know what he was talking about. And so they kind of ushered me in, and I could see that the energy went from being excited and concerned to laughter. And all I remember was that my mom and my dad's friend were so perplexed because this dog was not known to, how should I say, be friendly or allow people to pet it, that it was being raised as a guard dog. And he couldn't understand what I had done to make the dog become so docile and why I wasn't afraid and alarmed like everyone else. And I've never forgotten that. So I bring this home. Do not allow another person or other people's perception of a situation be your mandation. I have always said this, just like the palms of your hands and the fingertips of your hands, those prints for each and every one of us is unique. We may all have the opportunity to experience something together, even sometimes at one time, but it is not natural for your experience to be a duplicate or uniform as everyone else. There may be particular things that are similar, like the location, the elements involved, even the time, but because of your unique makeup, your experience should not be a copy of the next person's.